Welcome to Ailuna Chitchats. This is where we delve deeper into the world of sustainability, where we talk to people who are doing something really brilliant to make this world a better place for us all to live in. Today I've invited the lovely Martyn from Lagom Chef to talk about one of my favourite things, food, but also one of my worst things, food waste. So Martyn, who are you? What do you do? Tell us more about Lagom Chef.
Oh, well, it's a funny one. Like, it started off wanting to teach, or not even wanting to teach, but wanting to show people how to cook, how to live a healthy, sustainable life without any of like the fluff that goes on around. And I'd always worked writing meal plans. So like, I was in the fitness industry working for the mighty Joe Wicks, the monster who he is now. And, I was writing recipes. It was all weight loss, fitness orientated. And that's kind of what I knew. So I set up the business to do that, but then also to tackle, food waste, because being a chef, you see it all the time. And I was like, I didn't know, I didn't have a clue what to do, how to help. So yeah, then the business kind of like, naturally developed into like an academy now. So I wanted to teach people how to cook always, because I worked in a cookery school for like 5 years. And I saw it at the Body Coach when people did the plan. If you couldn't cook, then you struggled to eat healthy. So I was like, surely I could hit like two things here and like teach people how to cook, like the simple techniques, have a meal plan. And then if they get stuck, they can go to the academy. If they want to learn how to like plan, they can get a meal plan. So it's kind of been this beautiful harmony of the two. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing at the minute.
So I love what you do, because I am not an expert in the kitchen, should we say. My partner hates my cooking style, hates me being in the kitchen, because it's just mess and chaos everywhere. Don't time anything, I don't do anything correctly, apparently. And it never tastes that amazing. So I have been following one of your meal plans, actually, and I love the recipe ideas. But I do love the techniques that you offer on your academy. So I love that I've learned how to peel a little bit better. if I ever peel anything, I didn't know peelers can go both ways. So you've blown my mind. But working at Ailuna and my other work, I've been working on food waste, for years now. And I think having confidence in the kitchen is it plays a massive role with reducing food waste.
Massively.
People know what they can do with particular items or how to deal with them. Then I think it massively helps reduce that food waste. So I love what you do.
Thank you. Well, I think it's what I've always found is that a lot of people look at zero waste or food waste and then think it is just like the end product, like what goes into the bin is the food waste. But like there's a step in between you producing that food and cooking it and getting to that point. So what happens in there is the really, really important bit, because if you make some food that tastes disgusting, you're potentially not going to eat it. So therefore, it's going to probably end up in the bin. Whereas if you can learn, a few simple techniques that, yes, they're not going to turn you into like a professional chef straight away, but they'll give you, like you said, the confidence to play around with things, new flavors, new techniques. And, these techniques that I'm showing people aren't like, rocket science. They're not like spherification in like Michelin style restaurants. They're like how to roast or, how to chop something properly. And it will give people the confidence that you said to use different ingredients, and the one thing that I always try to explain to my wife, and maybe you'll understand me here, but it's almost like this Rain Man like vision I have in my head, where I started off the potato diaries, like to teach people how to use a potato, because it's one of the most wasted ingredients. And I was like, what is this achieving? And I was like, one, it's showing awareness about the waste in potato, but also by showing you how to cook a potato in 100 different ways, it unlocks other ingredients that will go with it. So like, if you look at a potato and you think jacket potato, you would normally go like beans and cheese, tuna, let's think simple. But then if you end up going like Dauphinoise potatoes, then that unlocks another set of ingredients. So I always think like, I look in the fridge as a chef and go like, that works. But then if I can give people that, idea of you could try that, and that will unlock that bit of, manky fish that's sitting in the back, or that bit of tofu will go with that, and then people start looking at food differently. And I think that's what I'm trying to explain and educate people. But it's been so positive, just the simplest things, using a peeler, learning how to prepare garlic properly, like saving people that time in the kitchen. And I'm a very when I'm not like a basic chef in terms that I don't have gadgets. I'm like, they're not needed. Like, some people come to me and say they've got like a Ninja 3000 air fryer, and I'm like, huh?
What?
I'm like, what is that? I've got a knife and a chopping board and a couple of pans, and you know that's me. So
Yeah.
And I think it's trying to make food really approachable again. I've had chefs that have come up to me and just said, you know, why don't people teach these skills? You know, I've taken skills from kitchens that we use all the time. You know, like blanch and refresh is a massive one. So like putting something in boiling water, refreshing it in ice cold water so you can have it later, you know. And people don't use it in the home because why do they need to do it? And I'm like, it will save the food from going off. You know, it will help you have a beautiful crunchy piece of broccoli in your salad later on. You know, if you want a meal prep, then you don't have bummy broccoli sitting in your fridge for 3 days. You know, it's these little simple things. So yeah, they do say that planning and preparation is one of the biggest things that will, you know, cut out food waste really. So
yeah, definitely. And I think it's something people don't, you know, we're convenience eaters, aren't we? We're a convenience society really. So, you know, you just want to go to the fridge, get something for now, bung it on a plate. You know, you haven't got time to plan and prep half the time. But have you noticed, I wondered if you've noticed over the last year when perhaps people do have a bit more time on their hands, for a lot of people being off work and all the rest of it, but have you noticed a change in attitude towards food, diet, that, you know, meal planning or prep or anything?
I would say health has gone out the window. But you know, on the positive side, if people are very unhealthy, whatever, like, okay, we can deal with that. But I think on the positive side of it, people have taken a lot more care about what's in their home. I think, you know, cutting out the travel to work, you know, being stuck in your house, people are a lot more mindful about what's in the fridge. Okay, what needs using up? Do you really need to like order in a load of stuff for that week? You know, and I think maybe planning has kind of taken a bit of a side sit as well. But I think in a nice way, I think it's because people have kind of gained a bit more confidence in the kitchen because they are at home so much. So I've had a lot of people that, you know, haven't bought a product off of me, which is totally fine. But I like opened up my Instagram to like, send me a picture of your fridge, your dry store. If you need some help, I'm here. And, you know, I've had so many people just coming up to me, just sort of like going, I've got this and this. And I'm like, why don't you try that? And they're like, I've never thought of doing that. And it's, you know, because they've got the time now to try these things, I feel that like food waste is, you know, going to be really positive in the, you know, not in the near future, but the knock-on effect of like these couple of, you know, this terrible year, I think it's been really positive. Too Good To Go have absolutely been smashing it. And, you know, again, I get following from them and they're like, I've got this magic bag. What do I do with it? Because, you know, their role is like, they're doing amazing things. But then I approached them and said, I feel like you're, you know, the nicest way possible. I said, I feel like you're stopping and you're not helping people at home. You're giving them food, but then that food can still be wasted. So I was like, that's where I come in. I was like, that's me. Let me help. So so I've kind of like been trying to worm my way in there as the little minion, but I've been helping them out, like people again doing this, like I've got this and this, what can I do with it? And I just give them a few suggestions. So I think it's all positive, and the amount of companies that are doing things about food waste now, they're just popping up everywhere. And I think the beautiful thing is that none of them feel like competition. You know, every chef could be talking about food waste, and every chef is. But not every chef is like, that's their one goal. They're like, they drop in, and I'm not going to swear, but like my quote is, I'm not doing this because it's trendy. There is a real beeping problem, you know? And a lot of chefs that I see would be like, oh yeah, I'm using this seasonal produce, and like make it so hard for people to really grasp. Where I'm just sitting there going, honestly, if you buy food, comes into your house and you eat it, you're helping the environment. You know, full stop. There's no qualms about it. You are, you know. So
and there's definitely been a rise in awareness around food waste. Like, you know, like you say, there's so many companies now, organizations that are raising awareness and running campaigns to reduce it. But it baffles me a bit, because I say to quite a lot of people that actually, you know, food waste, probably the textiles industry is so much more of a climate crisis, if you like, than plastics. Whereas, you know, plastics get a lot of the press. You know, a lot of the time people are baffled if I say, actually food waste is worse, we need to tackle that more. So plastic's not great. I do a lot of work to try and reduce that for sure. But the work that I work in is we see a lot of packaged foods. So food wrapped in plastic being thrown into the rubbish bin. And that's obviously a double whammy. But it's how do you stop people? How do you connect people with that product? So if they've just chucked a loaf of bread, you know, we're chucking millions of slices of bread every single day. How do you connect people with that product, that loaf of bread? And like you say, it's been on a journey, you know, it's come from a farm, it's been made and put into our homes. I think we need to connect people with that journey that food has been on, but also, you know, the environmental impact that that one loaf has.
Well, yeah,
and
I
then
think
if you're just going to throw it.
Well, I think, you know, when I was talking about cooking techniques and like poached egg, for example, the clue is in the title, poached. You're not boiling an egg. It is a poached egg. You know, it's a soft approach. Global warming, the things in the title is global. Just because we're in the UK does not mean that like the burning rainforests in, you know, the Amazon or the polar bears not having any ice. That doesn't mean it's not our fault. And this is the thing that it's very hard for us to, like, you know, understand. It's very hard for us to go, oh yeah, but it's just raining in England because it's always raining. But it's just like, if you watch that Attenborough Humans program, that's what really got me, because I was like, you know, I know what I'm doing is good, but I didn't understand the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if we cut down trees, then, you know, they can't absorb the carbon dioxide that the food waste produces, you know, and if the sea salt, I think it is, comes out of sink, then that affects the tidal currents and that affects this. And it's like this massive connected thing.
Yeah.
And when you know, forget about all of that and draw it all back and look at the numbers of food waste, and, you know, the one that is mad is the 70% of all food waste is from UK homes, you know, and that is us. And when Attenborough turns around to you and says, you know, it's you that can make the change, it genuinely is. It genuinely is. Like plastic bottles, you don't have a choice. Like they're produced. You don't have that. You have to go and buy it. But food waste is the food that you're buying and you are throwing away, and that is the crazy baffling thing about all of this.
and the money spent on it as well. Like, you know, the studies show that a family of 4 in the UK could save up to £700 odd from not throwing their food away. So people for a year, so people are wasting £700 odd a year just from not eating the food that they buy.
It's mad.
I have brought something along with me to our chit chat today, because who doesn't go to a chat without a bag of sugar?
Oh, you didn't tell me.
Where's yours?
Yeah.
So basically, like, you know, we're talking a bit about the resources used, or about the environmental impact of food that's produced. So I wanted to ask you, Martyn, this bag of sugar, so 1 kilogram bag of sugar from sugar cane. Do you want to take a guess? I know we've already discussed this, but take a wild guess.
Even though we've discussed it, I still don't believe it.
No. Well, in the book that I've read, it says, so there's about 1,500, so 1,500 litres of water to produce just this one packet of sugar. So that's the water footprint of that bag of sugar, 1,500 litres of water. Now that baffled my mind. I know that we use a lot of water to produce a lot of our food. I think I read that 1 almond takes 4 litres of water to grow 1 almond, and avocados is similar, like 1 avocado is a few litres of water, but that's litres of water, but 1,500 for a bag of sugar. So water is, you know, another really precious resource that we take for granted every single day. But actually, you know, in 10 to 20 years' time, it probably isn't going to be a resource that we can take for granted. So, you know, if you don't use your sugar up, although I'm assuming this lasts a long, long time, but if you don't use it and you end up chucking it in the bin, you know, and it goes off to be either recycled, incinerated, landfill, whatever happens to it, if you haven't used it and you've just gone out and purchased another bag, it's not only that sugar that has been wasted, the land grown to produce that sugarcane, you know, the water, the energy, the carbon, everything. It's massive.
Yeah. And it is scary because, you know, I've been a chef for, I don't know, I think I say 15 years. I think it was about that. That was my first job. So don't go look at my CV. But I've always like loved food. And I think over the last sort of 4 years, I've kind of like really sort of like taken a step back and thought about, you know, where does produce come from? Where, you know, the seasonality of stuff. Like when I worked in restaurants, I never had to think of that because it wasn't really my job to, in a weird way. I was like a sous chef. I was a head chef, but I was given recipes to cook, so I didn't have to think about the seasonality of stuff. But now I'm sort of doing my own stuff, looking into like carbon footprint of ingredients, and I think it's a real, you know, it's a real tetchy one because, you know, some people. I think there was I can't remember that. I'm going to say there was a study. It wasn't a study. It was a stat, some stat. It was talking about tomatoes, and it was saying that, you know, looking at the carbon footprint of tomatoes, there is less carbon footprint taking a tomato from Spain than it is getting it from England if you're in England. And it was about, you know, not so much the air miles and the travel miles, all of that was taken in, but because in Spain they grow naturally, they're on like vines and they're outside, they don't take any like, you know, polytunnels or anything like that to create these carbon emissions, all this stuff. So it's such a fine line between understanding what's right and what's wrong, and like, you know, there just needs to be this like blanket of like.
And this is the thing: if it baffles people who work in the field, or, you know, it baffles me and you who are studying and researching and learning about this every day, then how do you expect the average Joe, you know, to be able to make these decisions and know what they're doing is right? So
well, I think you know, this is where, like, with my sort of take on it, and my business, or what I'm trying to promote, is first figure out the food waste problem in your home, because that's the biggest thing that we can sort out. It's like, if we can knock that in the head, then you can sort of like trace your step backs, and then you can start going, okay, like, where do I get my food from now? I know I'm not wasting it. Fantastic, I've done that. Where do I get my food from there? How can I eat more like seasonally? You know, is there a local this? Is there a butcher's I can go to? But I always say, if someone's like gone and got a loaf of bread from their like artisanal bakers, and it's cost them £4 or £5, and like, you know, the wheat's been ground at the place, blah blah blah, fantastic. It's probably like the best thing you can do. But then if you waste that, you're still screwing up. Whereas if there's like, I don't know, Debbie, hope I don't offend any Debbies here, but Debbie, who buys like a loaf of bread from Tesco's for 60p, and she eats all of it because she has to, then in my eyes, she's doing a better job than the person that's throwing it away. And Debbie potentially at some point will be like, oh, you know what, I'm doing a fantastic thing for the environment. I'll start getting my artisanal bread because I've got a bit more money, you know. But until then, I think it's like, let's figure out the household problem. That's the first thing that we need to figure out, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. Start small. Start at, you know, a level at a time, like you say. And I have been writing so at Ailuna we dare people to take part in challenges, just to change their everyday, you know, small habits. So I have been writing a dare all about food waste, and it's just about incorporating small hacks, things that people can do every single day. And I have referred back to Lagom Chef quite a bit because your website and your resources that you produce are just so user friendly. They're so easy to grasp, and like you say, they're not pretentious. They're talking to the everyday person, which I love because it helped me. But you've got everything in one place that I think can help just so many people. But during a week's dare for my food waste dare, we offer hacks. So I wondered if you could give the viewers here your top hack, or a hack that could help them just on a daily basis.
Well, I said one earlier. One of my favourite ones is obviously blanch and refresh. You know, it seems like such a boring one, but it is so good. Like, I know if you're a vegan, you probably don't eat eggs, but it is amazing for eggs. Like, if you want to cook an egg, I
didn't know you could blanch eggs.
Yeah. Well, if you boil an egg, you know, so this is the thing. It's residual cooking time, which is the piece. Blanching is basically just boiling. So if you boil anything, like if you was to boil an egg for 3 minutes, take it out and leave it on the side, the residual cooking temp will probably take it to a soft-boiled egg. But if you want to cook something to a point, i.e. a soft-boiled egg, you cook it for 6 minutes, ice cold water, that will stop it from cooking, and then you've got a beautiful soft boiled egg. So for things like meal prep, if you want to prep in advance, like making pasta dishes, and you want to have a pasta salad, you don't want it to all stick together, so you blanch and refresh it. You do it with your greens, you do it with your carrots, you know, everything. And it's not just for meal prep. I kind of feel like, you know, if you want to prolong the life of something as well, then you can do that and it will stay for another couple of days.
Yeah.
But I also like hacks. I'm not much of I always see it on Instagram all the time, you know, like the hacky things, like how to peel garlic, and I'm like, nah, just do it normally like a human does, you know. But a sharp knife, I say I see it all the time, but I hear it all the time. It's like people struggling to like enjoy meal prep because they've got a rubbish knife. It's like, if you have a really nice sharp knife, it's safer, way safer, because it will travel where you want it to go. And it will speed up your prep time. It will make you enjoy it. Like when you start learning how to cut like a chef, it is so enjoyable, because you're like, you can chat, you can like rattle through your prep. You're not sitting there going, oh, this recipe calls for 4 onions. Here we go. You know, out come the goggles and the spoon.
Chainsaw. Yeah.
So I think it's like arming yourself with, you know, really simple kitchen equipment, like decent knife, decent chopping board, couple of decent pans, and
I have yet to try out your video about sharpening knives, because I did get a lovely new sharpener in my kit from you, and I've got yet to try and sharpen knives. So that,
well, if you go onto the Instagram TV, my Instagram TV, I chatted with a guy called Ben from Block Knives, and he does these amazing, they're like £400 a pop, these knives, but they're beautiful. And we were talking about, you know, sharpening knives, the best way to do it. And I use a whetstone. I think on my academy, I put a link through to a Japanese guy doing it, because he explains it way better than I'm. A bit of a bodge. I'm a bit like, you know, I can do it, but he did it properly. But we talk about it, you know, what a whetstone does, the different, you know, angles of a knife, how different knives are different, you know, how to use a steel. So yeah, nice sharp knife is the best thing.
Yeah, looking forward to doing that, to trying it. But cool.
You know, I'm trying not to overcomplicate my message with like, you know, now I've got to save your banana skins. Now you've got to save your this. But I've really got into kombucha, and Connor opened my eyes to it, and he was just like, do kombucha, then you flavor it with the stuff that you've got left over. So if you've got some blueberries that are about to turn, freeze them, put them in your kombucha. If you've got lemons that you've squidged, keep them, put them in your kombucha. And it's this beautiful loop, because once you've flavored your kombucha and you've taken out the fruit, that's almost like a preserved fruit or a compote. So the lemons you blitz down, and it's like a preserved lemon. It has like this tang, and it's taken on all the amazing bacteria from the kombucha. And then you've got the blueberries that, you know, have plumped up. They've taken on some of the kombucha, and they're soft, beautiful, great for topping on a porridge. And I was like, this is mind blowing. Like, and he's like, it's this endless cycle. And I'm like, oh, wow. So yeah, I love learning. You know, I'm not going to say that I'm a zero waste expert or I'm perfect, because I'm far from it. But I'm trying. I'm like, you know, taking a step back into all of the viewers. I'm one of you, but I'm trying to give you my skills of like, we can all be better. You know, I'm shit at most things, excuse my French. You know, I'm pretty bad sometimes. And, you know, I just think it's like, let's just be mindful. Let's just, you know, let's just chill out, focus on the important stuff and not wasting food, and we'll be all right. So
yeah, good stuff. So if people wanted to check you out, how do they do this? What can they do? Because obviously on your website you've got the academy, but you've got these meal plans as well, which I've been trying and loving. The butternut curry, amazing. And it gives me a bit of structure in the kitchen, so my partner's pretty happy about that. But how can people, what can they do to get help from you?
So the first port of call is Instagram. That's where I'm focusing most of my attention at the minute. So it's Lagom Chef, LAGOMCHEF. Is that your spell, chef? Lagom Chef. So on there, like, you know, there's tons of resource, you know, fun videos, you know, tips and tricks on how to do things. But like, I put it out, I do lives every Monday to Friday around 6:37, and just come in and have a chat. Like, sometimes I'm cooking, sometimes I'm just there talking. And, you know, if you've got questions that you want to ask, you know, how to use up an ingredient, you've got loads of stuff left over, come in there, drop me a DM, direct message, whatever they call it. That's what the kids call it, isn't it? Like DM me. Send me a message and I'll get back to you, and I'll help you out. But then the academy as well, which is all free. lagomchef.com. There's the academy there, and there's the meal plans, and there's a free sample menu on the website as well. So yeah, I think
what I will tell people is because on your website you've got like a gift box, gift voucher. So I think I'm gonna hope my mum doesn't watch this before Mother's Day. but yeah, as a gift to my mum, I want her to follow one of your meal plans. I think they're just so easy and accessible. And my mum's not, that's probably where I get it from, but not big in the kitchen. So I think it would be really helpful for her.
Well, I always, it's so hard. The meal plans I kind of think are like this Rolls Royce of meal plans, because I know that they're brilliant, and I'm not like blowing my own trumpet. I design them in a way that they look quite simple in terms of there's only 9 recipes. So you get breakfast, lunch and dinner, like 3 separate days. But the way I've designed them is that ingredients roll over throughout the week. Yeah. So, say for example, when I was at the Body Coach, they would give you 100 recipes, then you would plan your own week. Now, if you were, starting out, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to have 21 different meals this week because it's exciting. You would have to buy ingredients for 21 different meals. And some of those, or most of those ingredients wouldn't roll over. You'll be left with, half of this, half of that, blah, 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 blah. And it would become a nightmare. Whereas what I really focus on is this like perishable, non-perishables. Therefore, you can focus on the fresh stuff that comes into your house, which is the stuff that will turn into food waste. So yeah, the plans are great.
I've been enjoying them. So, and it makes me, I don't have to think about what's for dinner tonight. That's the best thing, I think. You don't have to sit down scrolling through Google recipes for what to eat. So no, taking the stress away from me. So that's good. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Martyn, for your time. Really appreciate it. And it's great to always have that chat. But for anybody who's watching this, go check out Lagom Chef on Instagram and the website, because it is full of amazing techniques and information, and it's really, really helpful. But also, Ailuna, we've got accompanying dares to go alongside this chat. So you can have a look at really simply reducing your food waste over the course of a week. And I've written that dare, so hopefully it will help you just pick up the skills to get the confidence in the kitchen, but also just to be more mindful of what you are wasting on a daily basis and how you can reduce that. So yeah, thank you very much, and
no worries.
See you soon. Thank you.
See ya.